Okay, my dear friends, we will use Docker in this part. If you are new to it, it might be a bit challenging, but give it your best try, because backend programming without Docker is a big oversight. Now, let's add MariaDB to the project. Since MySQL requires at least 4 gigs of RAM, which might be expensive for you, so we will use MariaDB instead. Okay, right here MariaDB Docker and click on first website. So you can pull it from here, but we will use Docker Compose in this section. If you pay attention, we have a Docker Compose file in our root directory of project. So copy it, and I put dev in the end of the name of Docker Compose because we will only use it in our local system. Next, paste the text inside the Docker Compose file we created. Now we need to complete the information in this file. For example, let's write the values we must include here as variables. These variables will be initialized from the .environment file. So let's open the .environment file. We have some variables here. For example, database, and change the database name. For example, I put not VaniaDB, and for username, I put my name and the user. So to ensure a highly secure password, let's input some random stuff here. In addition to password, we also need to specify a password for the root password here. Okay, again, input some characters here. Okay, my dear friends, to automate the setup of all the information related to accessing the database in this file, let's include the variables that we changed and added in the .environment file here. So note that the names we put here must match the names in the .environment file. Okay, my dear friends, we have completed the main information to connect the database. Let's access the database through admin schematically. We could also use phpMyAdmin, but for now, let's stick with admin. We will connect these two services inside Docker. For this, I used linking. Then put ports and copy the DB port from here and put it here. It means that we connected port 3306 of our system to the same port as Docker. Of course, we could set another port on each side. Now let's add volume for saving our data inside database. Well, it's time to run this file by Docker Compose. To do this, write Docker Compose -follow and put your Docker file name here, Docker Compose file here, and write up. Okay, I have an error in this file. In my opinion, I should have set this name that I put here for the volume section. So let's check it again. Okay, everything seems to be okay now, but I haven't run Docker yet. Let's run it and then again run this command we wrote in the terminal. Now we have to wait for the download of these services. Okay, my friends, after almost 2 minutes, these two services were pulled and executed. So let me test that the adminer is running correctly. Can we access the database through adminer? Well, adminer is running correctly. So put the database login information here. Then also copy the password from the .environment file. If you have a smart mind, remember this password. So press login button and it seems we have an error, but not matter at this moment. So let's write Vania migrate. This shows us, can Vania have access to the database? Since we are running the database within our system, access to this database doesn't require SSL. Therefore, let's set the SSL mode attribute to false. Okay, let's check it again. Well, it seems that the migrate command was executed successfully. Let's copy the database login information from the .environment file, then we shouldn't have any problems. So paste database name here and copy again passport. Okay, press login button and this time it's okay. Let's delete the users table and add some columns to this table. We will add another columns after the ID column. The type of the second column is string and we will name it email. Here we can add several features for this column. For example, I will set the maximum characters to 100. Then we will add the other columns in this way. The interesting part about adding this column is that we cannot have a boolean value directly. So I will use tiny int for this purpose. I will change its length to 1 and leave its default value property as 1. Please note that we put its default value inside single quotes. I mean add as a string. So next we have another column for roles which I will add to control users. I will set its default value to user. After adding this column, it's time to add some additional columns related to time. I put its default value to null by adding nullable value to true. Okay, we will add the deleted add value at the end. Typically, most servers don't delete the users outright. Instead, they add a column with this title to track the time of when the user's account was deleted. Okay, my dear friends, these columns have been correctly added to the table.